Welcome to Mastering the Numbers, your go-to podcast for a deep dive into the world of business and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Joe Mallo. Join me as I sit down with successful business owners to uncover their journeys, learnings, successes, and future plans. From market trends to personal stories of triumph, Mastering the Numbers delivers invaluable insights to fuel your own entrepreneurial spirit. So grab a seat and get ready to be inspired.
All right, welcome everyone out there listening. This is Mastering the Numbers. I am Joe Mallo with the Lead Edge Consulting Group. We're powered by Focal Point Business and Executive Coaching. My guest today is Halim Yousef. He is a financial advisor with Northwestern Mutual. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to sit down with you today.
Good. Halim, tell us a little bit about Northwestern Mutual and your practice there.
Yeah, I started my firm under the umbrella of Northwestern Mutual. Our base office is in Ernst & Young building in downtown Cleveland. Northwestern Mutual is a company that's been around over 160 years. It's really known for its financial strength. When I was choosing, where I was going to start my firm and who I was going to partner with as a company, as a namesake, I chose Northwestern Mutual because of the financial strength and reputation. It's really a client-facing, client-focused planning, which is exciting for me. It's holistic, so it allows you to really take on the full brunt, right? The full scope of planning. It's not just focused on one thing. It's not just focused on growth, but they have protections in place, and then they do think post-retirement as well. So that's kind of what excited me to build the firm under Northwestern.
That's great. A lot of people ask me, as you know, I've been in the financial service industry for 28 years. A lot of people ask me, are you proprietary, meaning you can only sell Northwestern products, or can you sell everything that's out there?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. No, I'm considered an independent broker. So I have access basically to everything out there, right? Every product available that you can be licensed under is fully available for us. So we're talking about.
And that's important, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You quite often in our industry will run into someone that is out there, they're doing great work for you. It's just they're a little bit hindered by who they're working under as far as the capabilities and the availabilities of services and products. And for good reason, right? They're working under that brand name. But that's the cool thing about partnering up with Northwestern is you still have that flexibility and availability to go out there and whatever is best for your clientele, for the families you're working with, or business owners that you're working with, you can really utilize.
Thanks for sharing that, because I believe that that's very important as well. And I wanted to make sure that everybody understands that about Northwestern Mutual. So thanks for sharing that. So what inspired you to get into the financial service industry? Because I know that you haven't been in it for your entire career.
No, initially I started in the finance world under one of the major corporations in our country, the largest mortgage company in America, under Rocket Mortgage. I was there for 10 years. It was an incredible career. I worked my way up to the top, I guess, in what I was doing as far as becoming a director, having my own team. At one point in 2020, we've all had a lot of moves and changes. My father passed away. I found myself in a mindset where being the youngest of 5 kids in a Middle Eastern family, your parents don't listen to you the same way as they listen to your elder brothers and sisters and so forth. So when I was giving advice to my parents, they weren't really taking it seriously because I'm 10 plus years younger than my brothers. So after my father passed, I found myself complaining to my wife, complaining. We could have done this, we could have done this, we could have done this for my mom and this for my dad. And finally, she looked up at me one day. She goes, "Halim, I've known you for 11 years. You never complain about anything. When I complain, you give me solutions. So why don't you go do something about it? Right? If you feel that strongly, go do something about it." And I decided that day, that's it. I'm going to do something about it. So it took a while. It took some financial sacrifices. After being successful in a financial career for a long time and deciding to go out on your own and start your own business, I had to liquidate quite a few things to give me the fortifications. But I went and did my research, looked at 8 different places where I could run my business and firm. And when I made the choice, I never looked back.
Great. So would you say for those individuals out there that are thinking about starting a business, would you say that it's important to be passionate about what you're going into?
You have nothing else, right? Because there's uncertainty in everything you're going to do, so it can be a little bit scary, right? There's nothing certain about starting your own business except knowing who you are, right? I had those moments when it's terrifying going from working under a corporation and being successful. I found myself looking in the mirror quite a few times the last couple weeks right before I finally pulled the trigger, going, just being terrified, but saying, hey, look, if anybody can do it, you can do it, right? So the passion that I had for it, the belief that I had in myself and my support system, that's really what was able to make me successful in my current business. So yeah, you couldn't be more spot on there.
Right. Listen, you had told me that story before about your family. Thanks for your willingness to share that with everybody out there. To me, it was a powerful story, and I'm glad to have you on to share it with everybody.
You're wise
So
as anything.
what's that?
I think you're wise as important as anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what are some common misconceptions that you can share with people out there about starting a business?
I think the most common misconception is that you can be ready. It's kind of like when people talk to you about having kids, they'll say, like, you'll never be ready. Meaning if you're just going to wait and wait until you feel ready, it's just not, you're never just going to feel ready. But when you get into it, and you put in the work, you get ready, right? You get yourself to that point. I think that'd be a big common misconception. Another one is um, working for myself is so much easier than working for somebody else, right? I get to be my own boss. So much easier. Sure, maybe if those are the stresses that bothered you the most when you're working for somebody else, but ultimately it's all on your shoulders. So you got to be ready to carry it.
It's not easier.
Not easier.
It's not easier.
No matter where you go, there's different type of stressors. And this is
Absolutely.
and running your own business is a different stressor, but it's not easier, but it's awesome.
Which leads to my favorite question is, if you even have it, how do you maintain work-life balance?
Great question. I think to become really genuinely successful in any career path or as a business owner, for the first few years, I just can't imagine it, right? I can't imagine you having a ton of it. But ultimately, if you just stay in the moment and you focus on what you're focused on during the day, you can find gaps in times. But if you are in a mindset that I work for myself and I run things myself and I'm going to relax here and there throughout the day, then you're never going to have a work-life balance because you'll find yourself catching up all the time. But I think initially for the first few years, it's really, really hard to have a work-life balance realistically.
Do you think it's attainable down the road, 5, 10, 15 years into your business,
Oh,
if you're efficient and you have the right people? Do you think it's
absolutely.
attainable?
If you build the right processes in place and you make the right sacrifices up front, and that goes with anything, right? Owning your own business is making sacrifices. I think those two things go hand in hand. Yeah, I without a doubt in my business especially, hiring staff, growing out the business more and more. Yeah, you can definitely get there. You build a client base that trusts you and you trust. Absolutely, I think so.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It's not easy to find it, and you always don't find it 100%. But you can achieve some semblance of it if you build the right practices along the
Absolutely.
way. So at this point, in this venture, in this financial services venture for you, how do you keep yourself motivated and focused?
You know, I really believe that discipline is more important than motivation. You're not going to wake up every day motivated. But if you force yourself to get up and show up, you'll get the job done, right? So sometimes it's not, hey, I want to do this. It's, hey, I'm going to go show up and find a way to get the job done. Yeah, are there days it takes you longer than others? Sure. But I don't think it's possible to always stay motivated, especially if you have some great success. And there are times people just exhale. But I think just continuing to show up every day, having that discipline to show up, I think that's what really gets the job done. So for me, it's
Yeah,
discipline over motivation, I guess.
you just have to make yourself do it.
Yeah, just show up and you'll figure it out.
That's right. That's right. So in the financial service industry, at least in my 28 years, I mean, innovation has been a huge part of it. You've seen it over and over and over again. Um, what type of strategies do you use personally, whether it's been in your financial services career or just in your career in general? How do you remain innovative?
That's a
Are
really
you,
good question. And
yeah,
the way I do it is I try to utilize, okay, I try to find places and spots where I'm learning from people, and I try to combine those things, right? You have the old school thought processes, and you can learn a ton from them. And then you have some other ideas, maybe spin-offs. But if you do a good job of consistently combining strategies that are out there, I think it can work really well for you. Not everyone's super innovative. I'm blessed enough to be pretty creative, um, but not everyone is blessed enough to be a creative person. But if
yeah,
you can take and use your critical thinking abilities to take little things you're learning from different places and actually combine them and utilize them as strategies, I think that can really benefit you. An example for me is communicating with clientele and finding more and more people to speak with. When you have a client and you ask them for a referral, or you ask them for more business or to recommend someone to you, their initial reaction is always going to be, I don't know. People aren't really comfortable with it. Even if you're doing great business for them, there's just there's not a lot of comfort there. So on my end, I took different pieces of advice that I got from people, combined them to a strategy of connecting with my clientele and allowing them to feel more comfortable with referrals or introductions. So that's kind of my best advice.
but you agree you have to be innovative to keep up with the
Yes,
industry.
yes. Whether you're making up something from scratch yourself or combining other people's strategies
Mhm.
together, 100%. And it all comes to learning
Agreed.
more and more.
Agreed. Agreed. So this goes into a little bit about your plans for the future. I mean, can you give everybody a little glimpse into your future plans for your financial business?
Yeah, the firm is growing out nicely. And when you work in our industry, and this is where I really love working under Northwestern Mutual, it's very, very collaborative. We work as teams. We team up to take care of clientele based off of their needs. If I have a business owner that has 100 plus employees, which I'm blessed enough to have one as one of my clients, we have a couple of partners within our firms, in our umbrella here in Ohio and across the country that we partner up with that have 20, 30 years of experience of helping business owners and utilizing taking care of them and everything that comes with that. So for me, the goal is to continue growing the firm to where I can make it attractive enough to be offered a partnership with other firms. I've been blessed to have that happen twice already. I'm holding off. The goal would be to do what's called an ensemble, where you're kind of sharing the load with a multitude of advisors under one firm, and you're sharing the staff costs
Yeah.
that come along with that, of course. But yeah, that would be right now, I would say 4 years from maybe 3.5 years from now. My goal would be to partner up with a sizable firm and us join together under one.
Okay. Well, what challenges do you see with all that going into the future?
The the great thing is I put together the processes where I believe that if I just do the work, it'll come together. The challenges are like anything else. You have to stay consistent. You have to put in that first 5, 6, 7 year grind. And the other thing is what what we're doing on our end is new. It's new to the industry in a lot of ways. It's new under who I work with under our umbrella. And that would is just overcoming the newness, right? Overcoming
Yeah.
those little things that are going to pop up that you don't expect. We've already had a couple of those things, but it's fun. It's also a challenge, which is really, really exciting. But yeah, just basically reacting on a dime to new things and new changes. That'll be the biggest challenge.
Thanks for sharing that with us. Okay, final question. This is for those individuals out there that are thinking about maybe getting into financial services or starting their own business or maybe even struggling a little bit as they get started? What advice would you give them at this point?
When you're struggling, always go back to the basics. So for me personally, when I'm struggling, my business runs slow for a week or two, whatever it may be, I always go back to the basics of just making the phone calls, connecting with people. So whatever the basics are in your business and your focus, go back to those basics. That's number one. Number two, allow yourself the ability to step back and be honest with yourself. Are you making excuses? Is it happening to you, or are you making it happen? Right? Are you sitting there and playing, oh, this happened, I can't control it? Well, what can we control? Let's figure out what we can control and take those 2 steps. And as my wife said, don't complain, go do something about it.
Right. That's good advice. Real good advice. Well, Halim, listen, I appreciate you sitting down with me and talk to me and going through all these questions. If somebody wants to get a hold of you to talk about financial services and how you can help, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can reach me through my website, which is my full name, halimyousef.nm.com, Nicholas Mary or Northwestern Mutual. My email is halim.yousef@nm.com. And then of course, I don't even give my business line out. I give my cell phone to every single client, my cell phone, very simply, 440-476-1266. I figure when I get big enough to where I'm not going to give the cell phone out, that's when I'm going to rethink the structure and hire like 3-4 more people. That's when it's going to get to that point.
There you go. There you go. Well, when we push this out to out to the world, it'll have your website on there as well, so they can click it and go straight to your website also. So, but once again, Halim, I really appreciate you being on Mastering the Numbers, and to everybody out there, I hope you enjoyed it, and we look forward to having you listen to us again in the future. Halim, take care.
You've just experienced another insightful episode of Mastering the Numbers. We hope you enjoyed the journey and gained valuable insights to fuel your financial success. Don't forget to subscribe to Mastering the Numbers on your favorite podcast platform to never miss an episode. And be sure to leave us a review to let us know how we're doing. Until next time, keep pushing forward and let your entrepreneurial spirit soar. Thank you for listening.